Going live? Are we live? I'm live. Cool. Hello. Hey, what's up? It's Jim. I'm sending out the tweet before I hear myself. Can I hear myself? Will I see the...
Going live?
Oh, there I am. There I is.
Cool.
I saw Izzy and Paleo are here. It's nice to have you guys here. Cornbread, Bruce Parker. So I'm a minute early. So I said, fuck it. Jordan Salaflo, Ace the Wind Rider, Cornbread, Austin and Zane Powers. I saw you're here. Lauren, hello. Not plausible. Austin, I think I already said that. Say it again. Jab, Kit the Mystical. There we go. We're here on a Saturday night. Hey, what's up? It's Jim. I don't know what that was. But, yeah. And I sent, did the tweet send? Jim, oh, coconut buyer. There we go. The notification. PowerPoint is my passion. Okay, it said. Now I can close Twitter. All right. So I should switch. Buster's already here. Buster, you want to be up here? Okay. Well, let's cut to me so I can do a face reveal. Hey, it's me, the guy whose show you're in. It's not like we're friends. Senpai, I don't know. Hey, it's Buster. It's Buster. Hey, Buster. We've been buddies today, haven't we? We watched Adventure Time BMO today. Hey, it's Ryan Walterson. Hey, are you okay with this? Do you want to leave? You seem like you want to be on screen. Anyway, if you notice, I have a light that's back here. Look at that shit. And that's a new thing because my wife has lights for her plants, and I was like, why don't I use these? And I've wanted to for a couple weeks, and I actually did it. So, see, it's like I'm a real live stream person. And then I also have this jump rope that suddenly lights up. That's Sophie's. That we can't have. Hold on. Black Sea Oxenwinkle says, could Kevin James be a better Artemis Fowl? Probably. Let me get the Red Bull to explain what's what. I will do that soon. But Sophie has a jump rope, which my wife got, which is really cool because did you get a Patreon? I do have a Patreon, Izzy. Basically, my wife got this jump rope, and sometimes it would suddenly line up and scare my daughter. Oh, it's summertime. You know what that means? It's summertime. Jorge, I guess you're my best friend? I don't know. Anyway, it's not a new production budget. It's just my wife bought those for her plants. I don't want you to think I sold out. But anyway, so this jump rope, it lights up. It's like a fun jump rope, but it randomly goes off. So I thought it'd be funny to bring it. There we go. Bring it on the show. See if it really goes up. Oh, thank you, Genesis Albercayo, I think. Did you watch The Making of Frozen 2 on Disney Plus? No, I haven't. I thought about it, though. Okay, Black Saxon Winslow. Cheers to you. Maybe it would be Artemis Fowl. It would be a better anything. Austin, cheers to you as well. All right. And Zodberg, hello. And Modelo Butterfly. I saw someone add him, but I don't see him. But anyway, I'm sure he's here. And Spencer Presley. Oh, aw, snap. Aw, snap. Come to our macaroni party. Then we'll take a nap. Nice reference, Ryan. All right. But yeah, this is something I've been wanting to try, and I almost did it earlier, but I just thought it'd be cool to do it this time. Since this is, if you didn't know, I'm not going to do a show next week because it's like July 4th weekend. I was like, I don't know. And oh, hey, Will here. Zemblood T's here. Also, I don't know if like people are going to be busy. I was also like, don't know what the news is going to be like. I also want to work on a video essay that's sort of a personal thing I've been trying to get done for over a year, and I've made progress on, but I want to finish. That's another reason. So, there will be a YouTube premiere for the Every Show Ever that Ryan Walterson worked on with me. It's every CBS Saturday morning show ever, which is an epic one, and it's going to be cool. So probably, I'm thinking Friday if it comes out, if we're really lucky, Thursday, but I'll give you 24 hours notice so you will know. So check my Twitter and community posts on YouTube for that, and I'll probably do it on Patreon as well. Just so you're aware. So next Saturday, I think I want to do a cool time-lapse firework thing going from my window because they're shooting off fireworks everywhere, and I've always wanted to get. I want to get one of my Patreon goals is I don't know if everyone likes. Oh hey Toon J, I don't know if everyone likes my time lapse stuff, but I really wanted to get the sunset and the sunrise perfect, and I've been doing kind of sunset tests that weren't good enough on my Patreon, but I wanted. There's idea I have for this where I'd be at the sunset and then you see fireworks going up in time lapse, and I'm like really excited for that. So that might go up on July 4th. So you might actually get constant videos from me from this Monday till the next Movie Crap Live, if everything goes to plans, which you probably won't. But that's I'm hoping. The video is not about Degrassi, but it's about a lot of it's interesting. But anyway, let's see. Let's talk about before we get to news nonsense. I wanted to. Everyone always asks me this, so I'll bring it up. Before is the movie I showed Sophie Yellow Submarine on Friday, which was awesome. Yellow Submarine is actually probably one of the few movies you could totally get high to and show a kid, and she really liked Yellow Submarine. She was singing along with it. It's very trippy and weird. I don't know why I keep holding the Red Bull. Wait for another super chat, obviously. But it's a really cool movie. I've seen it a lot of times. It's probably, I think, hot take, the best Beatles movie. I know everyone says A Hard Day's Night, but I think Yellow Submarine's better. But Hard Day Night is like, and Yellow Submarine are kind of the 1 and 2, helps the middle. And then it's like Let It Be and Magical Mystery Tour. It's like whichever one you hate the least gets to be 4. I don't, what, I don't know. Help's not as bad as either of those two. That's just what I think. And Magical Mystery. Anyway, you're not going to get into my Beatles rankings, but that's what it is. If I were to make that video. Yeah, but it's been a cool week. Got some cool stuff made, and I don't have any more cool small talk. Do I? I don't think so. But yeah, maybe I'll do this again. There we go. All right. So, first off, let me do the Discord. All those shout-outs. You should check out the Discord because we really... it's a really great community. We have an artist shout out. They do movie nights where you can watch movies together. I know they're doing Speed Racer, I think, next weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong, Austin and Zane Powers in the chat. As well as you can ask me a question and I will answer it, and I need to answer a bunch that I saw that have piled up from last night. I do get to all of them. There's suggestions on what I can do for reviews and for segments as well that I actually write down and write your name down to, unless I had already thought of it, then that's not disingenuous, but if so, then I will credit you and everything like that. And it's also just, if you like the community that you see about in this chat, or want to be a part of it and you can never be here during the show, it's a great place to be. Did you show her this Robert Zemeckis version from Zane Powers of Yellow Submarine? No, because that never got made. But I mean, if you have it, I would not love to see it, but I would watch it. I'll put it that way, Zane Powers. Yeah, I got the lights up. This thing is stupid. I wish I hadn't. Anyway, cheers to you, Zane Powers. As well as, oh yeah, I did the face mask thing this past week. I didn't sell a ton of space face masks. Forever Zard said Cleveland's via leaving Family Guy is a poo 2.0. Yes, and I will get to that later. Don't worry. But I don't... sure, I guess. I don't... Maybe. I don't think so. No one made a video essay about that and then sold it to a network and acted like it was a documentary. But whatever. Cheers to you, Forever's Art. I mean, they have a point either way, but the documentary element of it, I didn't... Anyway, cheers to you. I've said this before. It's not groundbreaking. Thank you for the super chat, Forever's Art. But yes, I was doing the face mask thing. So every time you buy a face mask, there is a medical grade one that goes to COVID relief, as well as I'm giving all of my proceeds from the face mask to Direct Relief, which is also that charity. So it'll help, combat coronavirus, which is still going on. So if and if you need a face mask and you want one with my logo on it, then it's a great way to do it. It's not supporting the channel. You can also go there and buy t-shirts. That does support the channel. But if you want to support the channel in any other ways, this show and all my videos are 90% fan funded. So if you would like to, they're 90% are pretty much fan funded completely by you. And if you'd like to support the show, you can either do it by super chats during the show, or you can use my Patreon, which has some great content, including a commentary series, which I have 2 of next week. Includes me giving commentaries for Knock Force, Cleese Sweetest, and other short films and other stuff that I have done. There's a new exclusive video every week on my Patreon, and if there's not, I will make it up to you, and have 2 the next week, which I'm going to do, and movie review and all that. But thank you very much for your support if you are financially able to do so. All this is made by viewers like you. Someone asked for a shout out. Will I accept copies of Paul Blart Mall Cop? No, that's cute though. And Forever Zard. Maybe someone did post. Oh, maybe, or no. Who wanted a shout out? I wanted to. Someone did. Oh, Jorge El Nina Espinosa. Shout out to you. All right. Commentary for Paul Blart. Oh my god. You know, Black Sea, if you get that in the movie review vote, I think it would win. But yeah, sorry, it's a little sweaty. I had to get everything. All right, I think I'm okay. I hope I'm okay. All right. Oh, thank you, Nathaniel Floyd. And if anyone gets a mask, I will and takes a picture of it and posts on Twitter. I'll retweet it and all that stuff as well. And it's good to just like help out because things are going crazy and the COVID is going back up, so it's good to have a face mask. All right, so before we get to the news, and speaking of the movie review vote, Batman Begins won the movie review vote last time. I made a review, came out. I have a story about Batman Begins that I want to start off the show with. So here we go. Batman Begins was a movie that when I worked in the AV department of the School of Visual Arts, which had a pretty big week this week, so I'm sure they want this on them. So, but fuck it, who cares, I guess. When I worked there, we would always have movies on in the background while we're fixing stuff and doing things. We had to test projectors, and Batman Begins was one of those movies. We had it on DVD. We played it a lot. And at one point, and I'm not sure who started this, and I talked to a couple people, and they're not sure who did either, but we'd have it on a lot, and I mentioned how Katie Holmes didn't come back for The Dark Knight because she was offered this very forgettable movie with Diane Keaton called Mad Money. So everyone goes, that is bullshit. There's no way. Now, most likely it was because she was kind of taking focus away from Christian Bale, who Warner Brothers really wanted to be a new star because of the Batman. So, and because she was doing the Tom Cruise thing that summer, and they were like everywhere, and there were all the talk in the media, and Tom Cruise even destroyed the other big movie of the summer, which was War of the Worlds, was ruining that marketing campaign for not shutting up about Katie Holmes. So studios were not really happy about this, obviously. So that's probably what happened, is Warner Brothers just fired her. But they were like, that's bullshit. And then I think we were watching it when Katie Holmes was on, somebody made like a fart noise. And I don't know how this happened, but it became the genesis of Katie Holmes, while making Batman Begins, had some of the most disgustingly vile, worst farts in humanity, that no one could barely be in the same room with her. That anytime someone was in the room, because her farts were so horrible that they would literally throw up. And we went on this thing like, oh no, they had to make whole separate sets to contain Katie Holmes and her farts. Like, she had a witch's curse on her, and she just could not stop farting. It smelled so bad. People would just start throwing up. Like, it was like impossible. Anytime she's in a shot that's not Christian Bale, they had to CG her in because the insurance wouldn't cover them because her farts were so bad. And anytime those scenes were her and Christian Bale is such an actor that he'd actually be on the set he'd be on the set with her and just bear it out, and then literally when they'd say cut, he'd go up and throw up constantly because she literally smelled like garbage because she farted so many times. And that's why her career went down the tubes, because everyone was like, there's no way this makes sense unless Katie Holmes has the worst farts ever. Like, so bad that nobody could bear to be in front of Katie Holmes farting disgusting farts all the time. And it became like, I think this joke went on so long, it became like a documentary, because we'd just be like, bro, you know, Christian Bale had to put up with a lot on that set. Katie Holmes, you know, she'd just be farting like crazy. And he'd go in, he'd have to eat an entire Subway sandwich before we do a scene with her, because right after he would throw up. And Nolan, he's such a perfectionist, he'd have to do all these shots, you know what I'm saying, he'd have to do like 20, 30 takes. So Christian Bale had to eat Subway subs so that he could throw that all up, otherwise he would pass out. So he'd have to go eat a Subway sub, act with fucking Katie Holmes right, and then throw up the Subway sub, rinse and repeat. There would literally be a whole day of eating Subway subs, smelling Katie Holmes farts, and then throwing the fuck up. And and it became like us talking about like the people on the set of Dawson's Creek talking about, like, as her fame grew, her farts got worse. Like, they were like bearable, like normal farts, but then they just came on. That explains the Dunkachino and Jack and Jill. I don't understand this, but there we go. Cheers to you, Austin. I hope people are into this joke. Katie Holmes was in Jack and Jill. Oh my god, didn't know that. But yeah, it just kept evolving. Like most jokes, we work with people, it just became. Oh, speaking of Diane Keaton, this is from recently watched an awful movie directed by her. Hanging Up. Editing was hideous. Diane is a hack or something. I've actually heard. Well, it's interesting you bring this up. And before we move on to the beginning of this show is always so weird. It's interesting you bring that up because so many people acclaim the Twin Peaks episode. She farty Holmes. I actually, true story. Anyway, let me answer while I get back to that. Everyone really hails the episode of Twin Peaks she directed. So, cheers to you, Wolf. I didn't do that. Cheers to you. Good. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry if Izzy, who's a very classy lady, has been disgusted by me talking about Katie Holmes farts. Which, by the way, I should also bring up that the other funny thing about Katie Holmes is with me is like I literally don't like her at all. Like all my friends will be like, "You don't think she's hot?" And I go, "No, she's so like sort of basic. Like I don't really get the. I like never got the appeal of her. Like what was so great about her? Like was she the only thing she was ever good in is Wonder Boys, and she's probably like the 17th best person in that movie. Like she just like everyone was like she's so smart. I'm like, how is she so smart? Like how? I never got like the whole time. This is pre Tom Cruise. People would like love fucking Katie Holmes. I just like did not get it. I like people would think I would pretty much say be like you refuse to like her, and I was like yes, that is accurate. I just do not get it. Like Michelle Williams became the great actor out of Dawson's Creek, and everyone acted like whenever thanks Izzy whenever people used to act like Michelle Williams wasn't, it was Katie Holmes. But even watching the stuff they were making around the time of Dawson's Creek, like Michelle Williams was making Dick. There's a movie called Dick that she was in. This is real. And like that's a funny movie. And Teaching Miss Tingle, which is like, Katie Holmes. Just like I don't like Katie Holmes. But I do believe that her farts were so rancid. That's really what took her out of Hollywood. Not a cult that her husband had far too much influence in that probably naturally destroyed her life, as most people do in a very patriarchal society, which is probably like the whole thing really. But as I am not going to look at any of that, I'm just going to say she had stinky ass farts, and that's what ended her career because they were so putrid no one could stand it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make this into I was like, this could be a separate thing, this fart story, but it's stupid. I don't. Anyway, all right. Did you come here for news? I don't. Go. Okay. Go is good. She was good in Go. You know what my problem with Go was? Is that everyone overrated it when I was in high school. And so people would be like, it's the next Pulp Fiction. I was like, no, it's not. And if you don't treat it like it's the next Pulp Fiction, it's a good movie. Is it? It isn't. It's just because it's similar to Pulp Fiction, but in terms of influence or importance, like, wow, definitely not. Yeah, that might have just been, I don't know. We'll see about Katie Holmes farts. if you see that video make an appearance, you'll know. Jim, that genuinely scared me. What did? Farts? My dog just farted? I don't know. All right. So let's get into movies skipping theaters. And the biggest one and the first one was SpongeBob, Sponge on the Run. When this happened, I wasn't really surprised, but how it all happened and how it all went down, I guess, is actually sort of surprising when you think of it. SpongeBob Sponge on the Run has been pulled from theaters and is going to go digitally early in 2021. It is also then eventually going to go to CBS All Access. Previously on the show, Scary Farts. Hey, Nintendo, you came at the right time. Previously on this show, I talked about how CBS All Access very much wanted to make use of all their Viacom-owned IP with Nickelodeon, even though Nickelodeon has a Netflix deal, which contradicts this. But again, as I've said before, studios don't seem to care. Studios don't seem to make like kind of cohesive streaming rights deals. If you ever thought they would, yes, it is in the thumbnail deck. If you ever thought it would, like they clearly like don't think like they're misreporting. The studios are making bizarre streaming deals, like they're selling off streaming rights to various companies while they're trying to opening other streaming services. It makes no sense, but they do realize they have a lot of IP that they're just leaving out on the table, and they could bump up their own streaming service, even though Viacom was previously acting like they weren't going to do that, but instead they're going to make CBS All Access a thing. So having SpongeBob go to digital first for a couple weeks and then go right to their streaming service, similar to what Scoob did. Now this also brings to the fact that the idea of going straight to VOD was a complete and utter failure for big budget movies, and thus why the Scoob numbers never came out. Unless someone has a link for me and can show me something about if Scoob did really well, but like even though I've heard bigger reporters say like, what are the fucking numbers on Scoob? Like, the Trolls numbers came out on Monday, the Scoob numbers just didn't come out, which leads me to believe that it didn't do as well. Sponge Jim around jeans. That's funny. I like that. Thank you, Ryan Walterson. There we go. There's the lights. All right, cheers to you. This is a goofy show today. But this is kind of a big deal because SpongeBob is obviously going to be a big... I am going to talk about Joel Schumacher, but that I have like an Obits part at the end. So you don't need to keep asking that. He is on the list. Don't worry. There's a bunch of Obits today. I think the thing with the SpongeBob deal, Scoob made $2. Well, it didn't make $2 for me. All right. But the thing is when SpongeBob moved, it kind of like started a ripple effect. It started earlier in the week that SpongeBob would move and go to on demand first. I think, again, like what I've said before about the stuff with kids movies, is that they're not just about the movie. They're a larger merchandise plan that obviously they have, like I have cereal in my house right now that's saying like see SpongeBob in theaters, like whatever, which date they stuck with. But a lot of that merchandise they still want to move, and since this COVID thing might still be going on even then, I don't mean to depress you, but they do still, they can still sell it on demand because they know parents will still buy the same amount of merchandise. I heard Scoob did sell a lot of merchandise. I don't have the numbers on that either, by the way. But this kind of caused a ripple effect because SpongeBob is a big franchise. It really is. There's a lot of merchandise in it. There's a lot of sales to do with it. And it really represents a lot in terms of Viacom. Like they make a lot of money off of this thing, and they don't really, the fact that Viacom, it's pretty much their biggest. It's pretty much their biggest franchise. It's a moneymaker. Every little kid knows what it is. And the fact that something like that would move definitely made people nervous. Now, I know that's not the narrative people are saying because it seemed like, Mulan was going to move in Tenet and all this stuff, and people are focused on Tenet. But I think the biggest problem with this whole moving thing is Tenet shouldn't be in this discussion. Because Tenet is not an all-audience movie. It's a big movie, and I get with Christopher Nolan's ego and everything like that, but it's not what SpongeBob is, which SpongeBob you can literally take the whole family to, and that's what theaters want to get back, the multi-generations. Now, there's been talk about older demographics not coming back to theaters, which is a whole... you missed Ryan's Super Chat. What are you talking about? I did do Ryan's Super Chat. I did Ryan's super chat. I don't know what you're talking about. But Tenet, I think it also moved to August 12th, back another 2 weeks. It seems like they're really trying to appeal to Christopher Nolan with this. But I was joking on Twitter, he's muttering like fucking SpongeBob, but that seemed to put like SpongeBob was the first to move, and of the late July, early August releases, it was one of the three, that, Mulan, and Tenet. And when that moved, it kind of made people go, okay, they just got the fuck out of there. It seemed like everyone wanted to, but I think Disney and Warner's is kind of in this weird place where they're like, well, if we can't do what they did because they have the insurance of being a kids animated film, and Tenet and Mulan don't really have that. Mulan's not going to sell a lot of merchandise, and I don't think Tenet has merchandise. Does it have merchandise? I don't think so. So I don't think that'll work the same way. It is hot. Sorry. There we go. Okay, this will go off a bunch of times. So I think when Tenet moved to August 12th, which is a Wednesday, they're saying it might move back to August 14th. And even further, they've even said it's a suggested date. Notice that even SpongeBob didn't give us a date. Now I heard also on Twitter from, hey Alex, how's it going? I've heard also from things that on Twitter that one of the things about SpongeBob moving is they couldn't, for Scoob, and this is, I think Nintendo shared this tweet actually, with Scoob, they didn't have the dubs right. They only had subs for it because they didn't have time to get dubs. Sometimes dubs are made far in advance. It depends on the studio. Sometimes they're not, but one of the reasons they might have just moved SpongeBob to later is because they might not have had all the dubs done or had the time to get the dubs done, and international is a big deal right now. So that also might be a reason films move, because that's not the only thing that gets dubbed, by the way, or not just animated films in other countries. Most other countries are dubbed and not subbed, so that might be a bigger problem. But yes, Tenet moved to August 12th. Mulan moves to August 21st, moves a lot further. Inception took Tenet's former date of the 17th, is now moved to 31st, Inception re-release. And Bill and Ted, which I really think should be just go to Netflix. I think it would actually be a big hit on Netflix, has now moved because it is now it was going to be on Tenet's the Friday after Tenet, is now moved to August 28th. So that's everything in terms of delays, but I think SpongeBob is interesting because it shows a company that found a way to get it to work for them. And I think when CBS All Access said previously that they really wanted that to become more of the home of Nickelodeon, they didn't have a real big push to do that with, and now they do. So kind of corporately, by the way, Sponge on the Run, it kind of works out for Viacom in a lot of ways. It doesn't work out for Warner and Disney. They're going to lose money. Sponge on the Run, they can make their money back. Same with like Scoob. I know so many kids who have Scooby-Doo stuff because they saw Scoob and bought a Scooby-Doo activity book and shit like that. SpongeBob can do the same thing and help them launch a streaming service or relaunch it when they rebrand it, which they're clearly going to do now, and they saw their opportunity and they fucking took it. SpongeBob is a small part in a bigger puzzle. Tenet and Mulan are the whole puzzle, and they have to go to theaters, and there's no other thing, because spending $70-80 million on Hamilton for Disney Plus makes sense. Netflix would do a Mulan, but Disney Plus isn't there yet, so I don't think, but Tenet, I saw Scott Mendelson write, I saw Scott Mendelson, who's a great box office analyst for Forbes, bring up that he thought that Tenet should move back a year and they should just give it up at this point. And I also think, like, why isn't Wonder Woman the film opening theaters? I think that would be cool. Yes, actually, New Mutants didn't move yet, to my understanding, but I looked it up earlier, but it might, like a day or two ago, but who knows with New Mutants. I think New Mutants should go to Hulu. Just some of these, it's interesting because I think the thing with the streaming stuff is Netflix will pay $200 million for a movie. Like they did that with that Ryan Gosling Six Underground thing, but Disney Plus and these other places won't do that. And it would make sense because Hulu and Disney Plus and a streaming service is pretty much all the revenue they're getting. They really need to take the hit because at a certain point, like something's going to get a bad release date or get screwed over, and you can't have big film on top of big film and have that work. So it might just be in their best interest to just put out or do do the on-demand thing for like a month and then go to a streaming service and sort of get as much revenue as you can. That would work out too, but we'll see what's going on for that. Ryan Reynolds? Who did I say? Did I not say Ryan Waller? Did I say Ryan Walterson? I forget what I said. Doesn't matter. Most of these movies should be on streaming services. Oh, I said Ryan Gosling? That would have been a lot better. No, Ryan Reynolds in Six Underground. It wasn't good. All right, so Alamo Drafthouse has put out a statement that they say that their theaters will be safer than the supermarket. Basically, what happens with Alamo Drafthouse and their policy, and they've been trying to market themselves as the safer theater. Are they? Fuck no, but they're going to tell you they are. So basically, how it works with Alamo Drafthouse now, when they do reopen, they're going to start reopening some theaters, is when you buy your ticket, you order your food at the same time. Then when you show up, you have to wear a mask to get in. You get there, and your server will give you your food. They won't have people walking through the aisles, which, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of, but you kind of just have to put up with if you go there. They won't have that. They'll just have you get your food, and that's it, and that's the only contact, the closest contact you have with anyone, and they'll try to be respectful and wear a mask during that, and then you are allowed to take your mask off while you're eating, but that's the only time you are. But you can't make the money that a lot of those theaters where you can eat in, and it happened to me once when we saw Jaws and we ordered way too much food, you kind of over-order stuff because you don't realize where you are, and I know a lot of people have more money do that, and that's how they make a ton of money, actually, is from people doing that shit. So, Alamo Drafthouse, regardless, says they will be incredibly safe. I don't think that's true. Whoa! Hey, Niji Kichu hit me up with a big super chat, so thank you very much. Fun fact, here we go. This better be a good fun fact. For X-Men, Hugh Jackman spent 3 weeks pretending to be a feral wolf for the role of Wolverine. Once on set, they asked him why he was acting like a wolf, and he said since he's a Wolverine, and that they didn't exist. I have heard that before, but it is funny. That is funny. Thank you, Niji Kichi. That was amazing. And thank you very much for the super chat. Cheers to you. That's funny. I forgot about that. And he thought Wolverines didn't exist. I remember that. And they were like, no, you don't actually need to play. Drop your actory bullshit, man. It was very funny. Oh, man. I am like sweat. Ugh. Okay. What? Oh, my hair is being very weird tonight. Okay. Okay. All right. I look okay. Okay. Sorry. It is sweaty in here. It's getting harder to do this in the summer. All right, so yes, Alamo Drafthouse. I really don't think what they're doing is really responsible, but I also think the problem with all these companies is like I don't want to take their side, but I get that they want to make money. They want to make some money from because they need to, because you can't be a company and not make money. That's just not how economics work. You have to, but at the same time, I don't know if it makes any sense what they're doing. I actually think it might work if like the food was right there and then you sit down. They're like, oh, you're here. Could you just wait here or something? I think there's ways you could do it, but it's also like you're eating, and I've heard air conditioning for larger places that have, what's it, inner air or central air? Blah. I don't have central air. I have window units, so I don't know, man. But that can, they're not sure if that spreads coronavirus or not. So I really don't think I'm going to go to a theater even this year, this is the longest I've ever gone without going to a movie theater. It's fucking weird. Yeah. Anyway, so the trailer for Hamilton came out, I think it was on Monday or something. It doesn't matter, but I saw the trailer for Hamilton that's coming on Disney Plus next weekend. It looks cool. It looks pretty much what a filmed version of Hamilton is. I've yet to understand how it's so much better than just like we had cameras film a performance of Hamilton real good. But whatever. I mean, this is basically, here's the thing with this Hamilton. It's basically like what happened with Rent or Cats or whatever. When the touring company is over, they released like a DVD VHS of the performance and then made some money on it. But since Hamilton is so big, it's in theaters and stuff, I think that's just what this is. I mean, sure, they're going to film it better than just like placing a camera on a tripod and filming it. But ultimately, you know, whatever. But I have only heard the album. Despite living in New York and despite what my relatives always are like, why don't you see more Broadway shows? And I'm like, I don't have that much interest. They're expensive and it's a lot of time, and then you gotta like wear fancy clothes and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I did see Hairspray though. I should have seen Crybaby. That's a regret. The other trailer was Muppets. The Muppets are coming to Disney Plus. Now this was pretty cool. I'm really actually excited for Muppets. What was it? Muppets. Oh man, now I forget this title, and Ryan's gonna make fun of me by the time I find it. Muppets Now. I'm sorry. Okay, Muppets Now, which will come out on July 31st. Sorry, for some reason I only did anyway. It actually looks really cool. I like all the celebrity guests in it. I'm curious if it's going to have the like Seth Rogen, who was in the Disney sing-along thing, which, trust me, with Kermit, which I've seen a million times. So wow. But I actually thought that looked really cool. I'm excited for that. And Sophie actually got a Kermit kind of by accident, so I think she's really down to watch that. Disney Plus is going to be cool this month because we're getting Hamilton, and then we're getting Muppets Now, which I think will be cool. But I think it's trying to be them more interacting with celebrities and doing like interviews with them. I like the kind of bit where the legal Muppet was not letting him reveal too much. I thought that was cool. But I'm excited for this. I know Ryan Walcherson probably is wherever he is. And I think it'll be a good thing for Disney Plus because they haven't fully utilized the Muppets at all until right now. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. So the next thing. Sony Pictures brought up that there will be more R-rated animated movies. And at first everyone was celebrating. It's like, oh man, that's so cool. Sony says they're doing it. And this isn't a bad thing to hear from the president of Sony, that they want to make more R-rated animated films. I'm like, excellent. Awesome. You did distribute Sausage Party and made a lot of money with that. So you'd think you would have had the awareness to know that financially that these things actually do well if you promote them effectively, which you did with Sausage Party, despite the fact that those animators didn't get paid. I'm sure someone's going to say that in the chat or the comments of this. But whatever. Point is they haven't made one. Do they have one in development? Nope. Did they announce one? Not at all. So it's like, cool. I agree there should be more ones, but I just don't think, like, it's a cool statement, but like, what are we doing with this? Like, it's just like, pitch me something, guys. Like, say, we think this will work, so we're making this. None of that. So it's like, I've heard there's rumblings of more animated stuff. People say there'll definitely be more. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? I want it. I want to see it. We don't see it. Like, I just want to hear of something. Because I keep hearing this thing. I don't have it. So just, to me, it's like that's a bunch of hot air. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Like, until you actually are going to bring it up, we need something. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about an R-rated animated thing or more adult animated things or animation geared towards adults, and with COVID, there's a lot being considered, supposedly, but we've yet to hear anything announced, and I would really like to hear that happen. It's just, it's just like, oh man, I am very sweaty today. Sorry about that. It is hard to do this in the New York heat. Anyway, apologies. But I think they're keeping it away from you. I guess I will say, I will give them this. It's like one of those statements, like someone just brought up the Jennifer Lee 2D thing. It's like, yeah, it's like, I'm glad they're at least discussing it, but it's like, I've heard these kind of crap for so long, I just don't really buy it until it happens. I saw everyone post it, and it's like, I keep hearing this, but it's like, at this point, it's like, just announce something. Just don't, you also work with Gendy. That would be cool if you got one of those. So another thing that came out this week is that a Scott Pilgrim animated series is in discussion for other stories of the, Brian O'Malley, I believe, Scott Pilgrim comics. Edgar Wright is apparently attached, but a studio isn't. Again, cool, bro, but I think that would be a great animated series, to be honest with you. But, like, I sort of don't like when these people, whoa, here we go. Here's Will. Will says, if Shane Acker's career is anything to go by, I won't be holding my breath. Deep was in development for years, then left to be buried by Valve till earlier this year. Temper expectations, guys. Thank you very much for the super chat, Will. Cheers to you. No, you're right. We should temper expectations because these things get buried. I think that's the bigger thing. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, no, good point. People have tried. I will say, people have tried, and Shane Acker was one of them. But yes, the Scott Pilgrim animated series I saw talked about in a lot of places, and it's something they're considering, but it's not like they say, we have Titmouse, and we have a pilot, and we're going to a network. It's more like, well, we don't have a studio, and we don't have a network, but it's something we think about, and especially Edgar Wright announces a lot of stuff, and I just think... sorry to be like Mr. Cynical, but these aren't what they're presenting them as. They want you to click on their sites. I get that. I'm not saying they're evil. It's just like, it's cool to say that these are in discussions, but it's very much like, very almost sort of in development or whatever. So apparently, Harley Quinn wrapped up season 2. It will be on HBO Max. We don't have a date on that. That is good. I actually have not gotten to see any of Harley Quinn. I would like to. I keep hearing good things about it. It should be on HBO Max. HBO Max makes no fucking sense how they're doing it. It just doesn't. Yeah, 9 didn't have a good release date. I remember them thinking it would make a lot of money, and I was like, so early September though? That's not a good... Whatever. I don't think they marketed that movie. That was a weird time, and I think summer would have maybe been better. I don't know. But if they do a Scott Pilgrim, before I move on to things, the Harley Quinn thing's just like, they're doing a Harley Quinn thing on HBO Max. But if they do a Scott Pilgrim thing, I think it would fit in with Adult Swim. I think there's a lot of streaming services that would love to have it, since that movie still gets talked about and written about and watched and all that stuff. So I don't think it's a bad idea. So this was kind of big news, and it obviously made the title of the video. Michael Keaton will be back as Batman in The Flash, and basically what he will be is like kind of an older advisor to Ezra Miller's The Flash, who's apparently still The Flash. And it'll be, as I think they're still doing Flashpoint, as he goes into that dimension. We'll sort of see what he's been doing all these years, since we haven't seen him since 1992. Like, I think when he was Batman, Kurt Cobain was still alive or something. It's probably the last nostalgia thing that my generation could have had that we didn't think would ever happen. It is a little weird, as Film Crit Hulk mentioned on Twitter, that he went from not really wanting to be Batman to not obviously left Batman, but then he criticized it in Birdman, and then he... Buster, do you have a thing in your fur? Come back. I feel something. There we go. Okay. Sorry. I'm not sure why you're here, but you're here, and I'm sorry. Oh, jeez. I really tried to cool the room down, and all these lights are on me, and it's gonna be cool. All right, so Michael Keaton, I'm excited for this, to be honest with you. I'm a big Michael Keaton Batman fan. He was my Batman when I grew up. But it is interesting. Yes, he went from being Birdman, criticizing like the only thing people remember me for is Batman. Then he literally played a Birdman in Spider-Man. Then he now is playing Batman again. I think it's probably the only thing the DCEU can do to get people really excited. I think they obviously, Warner's needs DC to happen, and this is a great way to do that. I will answer that Linda Carter thing because I have a thing about that. But I think it could be really cool. Apparently he will be an advisor in several films, including that Batgirl thing, which apparently is not dead. But they're trying to make sort of like this it seems like the Batman, the Matt Reeves thing is going to be a kind of a separate thing, and these other DC films like Shazam, The Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and presumably Batgirl, whoever's got that at this point, is going to be its own thing. But we'll see. But I think Michael Keaton as Batman, that's something like you see The Flash and you see Michael Keaton as Batman in the corner. I would show up. I'm excited for that. What about his roles in Other Guys? That was a good role, Zane Powers. That was a good role. I forgot about that. Cheers to you. I guess every time I just super chat, I drink a Red Bull and I hit this thing now. I think this is a one-show thing for this stupid thing. I thought it would just go off randomly and it'd be funny, and I realized I don't know how it goes off randomly. Ghost, probably. I don't have good ghost luck. Anyway, cheers to you, Zane Powers. But I think Batman coming back, Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, I think is really cool. I think it's like the payday. He's probably getting paid a lot. He deserves it. He's a great actor. I like him. In general, I've liked him since I was a kid because of Batman. But I do think he's a very good actor. And I think this would be a great role for him because people will get excited. He gets to live in the, kind of show off like what made him famous and what made him really big. Do a Batman film with a story. It was weird. Maybe I'll talk about Joel Schumacher now. It seemed because these happened right in a row. It was like Michael Keaton's recast Batman and Joel Schumacher died. And the craziest thing about all that is that it was like basically he met with Joel Schumacher and said no. So it's sort of weird that Joel Schumacher died and then Michael Keaton's Batman again is a very bizarre turn of events there. It was just very weird because Hollywood Reporter was all about like Batman in 1994 or something. It was like, it was very strange, but oh man. Now that Ryan Walterson said that, I wonder, he's the ghost the most. I wonder if he'll be... I feel like someone said something earlier, and I was going to bring something up. A lot of people were... Oh, I forgot about he was in RoboChat. My super chat... Oh, here we are now, entertain us. I didn't see that, Austin. I apologize. Cheers to you. Apologies. Oh, the DCU is trying to be the Arrowverse. I would agree with that because the Arrowverse is very successful and the DCU is not. But cheers to you, Javier Portello. Cheers to you. It just... Is that a ghost or I put down a Red Bull? But I think it's a good move for them. Anyway, Joel Schumacher died this week. I think he will probably be remembered mostly for those bad Batman movies, and there's no escaping that. And a lot of people said, "Oh, you're an asshole," blah blah blah. That's most of what we talk about with him. But he also made Matthew McConaughey a bigger star with The Time to Kill. He made Brad Renfro a star with his other John Grisham thing, The Client. He's actually did a lot of John Grisham adaptations. With Tigerland, he actually made Colin Farrell a star. He was a big star maker. He made Flatliner, St. Elmo's Fire. He was a bigger director and a bigger studio director than people really realize, more than Batman. But he would get kooky and weird, and he liked doing weirder. He was an art director. He was in the fashion world. He's really eccentric, more awesome director than we really gotten. Then he really got the attention for it. He did Falling Down. He did. So many, Phone Booth. He was an interesting director. He never really made the same film twice. Even Batman Forever is not like Batman and Robin. And he was a big director in the 90s. I think he, and toyetic is something that I think either he came up with or he popularized. It was a term, but he brought it up in an interview, and then it became a thing. So it's sad to see him go. He died of cancer in New York this Tuesday, and I think will sadly be missed. And he had a bigger impact on culture than I think people really wanted to appreciate. I wish they had gotten someone like Matthew McConaughey or someone who he helped make into a bigger star or gave them one of their iconic roles. Had talked about him, they really didn't. I've heard he wasn't... sorry if I'm just... I've heard he wasn't the greatest person to be around sometimes, but it's still sad to see someone who made a bigger impact on culture leave us, and I think Joel Schumacher was that. So I will talk about other people later. So Boots Riley, before I get to Splash Mountain, Boots Riley's next project, who directed Sorry to Bother You, is going to be about a 13-foot-tall black man in Oakland, played by Gerald Jerome. It sounds like an interesting project, and everyone having to deal with this huge black guy, basically. I'm curious about it. I think Boots Riley is going to continue to make weird kind of cultish indie films, and good for it. Because sorry to bother you, maybe not my favorite film. Some people like hate that movie, but like those people are far too literal and boring. But I think I mean it's true. But I think Boots Riley, this sounds cool. I'm down for it. I'm glad he's able to keep making movies, because I feel like it's probably it's hard for people to make weird movies like that on the scale and get the attention he is, and it seems like he's going to continue to do that, and good for him, because I think that's cool. It didn't really get more into like this guy's tall and shit, but before we get to a lot about hey, shit is racist in Hollywood, I guess I'll start this off. Gone with the Wind is back on HBO Max, and it has an intro. I actually watched that intro because I was curious how they would do it. They got an African-American film professor to do the intro. Basically, what the deal is with the Gone with the Wind intro is it's, if you know Turner Classic Movies, it's like a Turner Classic Movies intro. It's a little more classier, longer one, and they show photos and stuff like that. That's basically it. You can't skip it if you hit play. I mean, you can scroll past it, but it is part of the film basically on there. The good thing about this intro is it gives context and shows where people were offended and people didn't like it at the time, but it also brings up the history of it, and I think it also shows that HBO Max and Warner's is probably better able to handle kind of uncomfortable older films because they have Turner Classic Movies, and they can just go to that department and go, hey, could you film us an intro to explain how this film is racist, but it's also important, and we'd like to preserve art, but we also understand it can upset people. And they're like, yeah, actually, we literally could do that today. And they're like, cool, how many of these do you shoot a day? And like, way too many. And they're like, oh shit, all right, cool, well, just do some more maybe. And they're like, yeah, chill. And then they do it. So I know there's been complaints that things like Disney Plus and Netflix don't have a host. They wanted people like Leonard Maltin to be that host so that they could go on and like, talk about explain certain movies and stuff like that. And I know people want like Whoopi Goldberg brought this up with, I guess we'll get into this in a second, Song of the South, like because she did intros for Looney Tunes. She said this when she won a Disney Award. She wants Song of the South released with an intro like that. And I think intros like that can help, because that's actually part of how I got into film was Turner Classic Movies, and I love those intros. And I think those intros are wonderful and really helpful because they can explain context to a certain release and make sure you're watching it in the right context and really set you off on the right example. And like I was saying with Gone with the Wind, I thought one of my problems with it when I really thought about it is when I grew up with it, I had a parent who's going to laugh at the fact that they think black soldiers are going to love to go to war, and to make sure I understood that that was not actual history. Not everyone has that parent who's going to do that. So what they're trying to do is trying to understand, like, hey, Gone with the Wind is actually very important to Hollywood history. It's a big classic movie. It's a huge Oscar winner. It's, considered like the pinnacle of 1939. I would have picked Wizard of Oz, but whatever, that's on you. And but Gone with the Wind is very high up there. I get it. It's one of the big classic Hollywood films, and you can't forget it. So they did a good job with it. I like what they did. And I think HBO Max is interesting because I think it is a really great streaming service. They just do a shit job of promoting it and putting it on places, but that's a whole other thing. So this week, Disney announced that they're going to have retrofit, basically, Splash Mountain, take out the Song of the South bullshit and put in Princess and the Frog instead. And people were, hold on, before we get into that. Going back to adult animation, West Ball's Mouse Guard suffered a similar fate to Agger's Lost Project. Studios don't want to gamble. Sorry, that was my rubber band. That is true, Will. That's very true. Oh, now it's really going off. That is true, Will, actually. That studios don't like to gamble. That was more, I think Fox had approved it, but that was Disney's fault. But Disney doesn't like to gamble on any adult animation. Even when I talked about Redux Riding Hood or whatever it was, like they barely let even that out. So studios, especially Disney, doesn't like to gamble and do anything interesting. Doesn't want to do anything interesting with animation that way. So you're right. Cheers to you, Will. But Princess and the Frog is going to take over Splash Mountain, kind of erasing all of the Song of the South stuff. Now, a lot of people have said Song of the South wasn't why you liked the ride, and probably wasn't because they didn't really promote the Song of the South angle. The weirdest thing about Splash Mountain is Song of the South, they decided to like ban and take out of circulation and they still put that shit in Splash Mountain. You could have argued, why not do that? That would make sense, but they did it anyway. I get that Zippity Doodah and certain things of that movie are like pretty big things, and they really like keeping those around, but it really didn't make any sense to have that on Splash Mountain anyway. A lot of people are saying we should talk more about Song of the South because it's important. Here's the thing. I have actually reviewed Song of the South. I've seen it whenever it was. It wasn't too long ago, but I have it. I have a copy of it because I wanted to see it to really get the whole thing with it. It's not good. It's not a good movie. Is it historically important? This seems to be a thing people like. It's part of film history. It's sort of not really. There are certain things of it, and I just wanted to bring this up to really get into it with Song of the South. It was the first color film from the cinematographer of Citizen Kane, Greg Toland, who's one of the greatest cinematographers of all time. If you are big into classic Hollywood cinematography, I can totally understand when you see Song of the South. The black actor who does Zippity Doodah, that sequence, Zippity Doodah, great sequence. Check that out on YouTube. I love it, where it's like suddenly, complete darkness, and then he breaks into Zippity Doodah. Great sequence. As well as he won an honorary Oscar, but he was treated like shit by Walt Disney. He won an honorary Oscar, and he's the first African-American actor to win an Oscar completely, although not in competition. But they don't give out those honorary things a lot. But those are very minor film history things, and those are not reasons to have it shown to people in a mainstream audience. Those aren't reasons to watch it with a mainstream audience. I don't mind if it was sort of released, but like Disney's tried to reclaim it and figure it out, but they never have. It's something that Disney's never liked particularly. But Bob Iger, who actually watched it at one point, just sort of figure out what to do with it, and he's like, "Yeah, we're not releasing it." I really don't mind that it's not released because it's not really that good. It's just not a good movie. It's not enough of a big film hit, even at the time, to merit all this discussion. It's just people who don't really understand film history talking about it out of their fucking ass. I know film history, and it's just like, certainly big nerds can watch it, and that's fine, but everyone else, I just don't agree with that. But Nerdification says, can't sleep because family is watching the Bee movie right now. Okay. But anyway, I think it's cool. We're big Princess and the Frog fans in this place, basically. Who's this? Alex Davis. Hello, nice to meet you. I wonder if they're going to change the exterior. Disney is big on line of sight, but The Rock doesn't exactly scream New Orleans. I think they're going to change things about New Orleans. Well, it could be the swamp in Princess and the Frog, which I think it would be. But thank you very much for the super chat, Alex Davis, and nice to meet you. Cheers to you. But we're big fans of Princess Frog. Princess Frog is not a perfect film, but it is very good. And I think one thing about this, it makes me think, hey, Disney, maybe we should have more princesses of color and things like that. So it's not just, the very few that they have right now. But I think Princess the Frog has a growing fan base. It has certainly a major culture around it. Anytime I talk about it, people seem to like it. It seems to have grown I think esteem as it's gone on. So I think it's actually a good choice. My one fear about Princess and the Frog, and I thought I would bring this up because my daughter is a big fan of it. And also I will say this is the first time we actually thought about going to Disney World was for Princess and the Frog. And I've heard a lot of people say as well, actually, in terms of all this banning episodes and things, is the black dollar is actually pretty strong, and getting that economically offending, African Americans doesn't really work out for you. So why not offend them? And since Princess Frog is growing, but the other thing with Princess Frog, I'm going to bring this up, and I think I brought it up on a previous movie crap, and it wasn't here. Thank you for the Splash Mountain rap, Ryan Walterson. Is that anytime we try to get a Tiana doll, a doll of Tiana, Princess Tiana, we'd actually find they had a lot more of Lottie, her white friend. They had a ton of her and not very many of Tiana. And they always say, oh, we sold out. And we went to the Disney store a lot of times, and that was always the case. So what I'm saying is, like, I've seen how you do Princess and the Frog, Disney, and it should make me nervous because you should have more Tiana dolls. I understand you might have a surplus of Lottie dolls, but the fact of the matter is, anytime I've looked for Princess and the Frog merchandise at any of your stores, I find a lot more of the white girl in Princess and the Frog than, the titular princess of your movie, which is weird. Just saying. Anyway, but I'm happy for this. I like Princess. By the way, there is no way in the world that Song of the South is a better movie than Princess Frog. Princess Frog is a way better movie. Has awesome songs. Is much more captures the imagination. Makes you love New Orleans. Song of the South just makes you feel icky and gives you racism. I mean, I'd much rather watch Princess Frog. So, I said this on the podcast. I did. Okay, cool. I say a lot of things too much. Well, that's true. I would bring that up to Toonjay. Is like that's kind of, there are definitely problems with Princess the Frog. The idea that she is a frog for most of the movie. There are other issues with that. I will say. Where's my Big Daddy doll? Well, you don't want to. You should have a voodoo doll of Big Daddy. That's a good point. They should do that. That'd be funny. That's true. Disney isn't really woke at all. That's but I don't. Yeah, I think that's a criticism of the movie. The movie never gives away. It's like you have your first black princess and you don't see her as a black princess for most of the film, which is troubling. And I didn't realize at that time that would become such a thing for black protagonists in animated films, and it keeps happening despite the fact that they kept doing that in animated films. I don't think Disney is woke. I just think they just don't handle these things correctly usually. So I'm curious how they'll handle Princess and the Frog with Splash Mountain and things like that. I think maybe they should also just make a Princess and the Frog short where it's just Tiana like running her business and stuff. I think that would actually be a lot more helpful, but whatever. But thank you for saying something, Tunja. You're right. All right. So after that, the thing with, man, there's a lot of stuff like this. The thing, fireworks too. The thing with a lot of actors who are playing people of color have now left their roles. The big one being that Mike Henry, the voice of Cleveland Brown on Family Guy and the Cleveland Show, will no longer be doing the role of Cleveland. Now, I actually forgot, and I think I saw it in someone's video essay, one video essay about black animated shows that he was, but I had totally forgotten that the voice of Cleveland was a white guy. I don't think that, to me, like, how are they comfortable with him having his own show? Like, I was just like, that's the thing about a lot of these people who, between Jenny Slate leaving her Big Mouth role, to Christian Bell leaving a mixed race character. Embla T said, when I was in 6th grade, I starved myself in a week to save my allowance so I could see B-movie in theaters back in 2008. Thank you for the Filipino pesos. That's weird. Okay. We already killed a Red Bull. Whoa. I don't even really, I sort of hit it. It's very sensitive because I just hit something next to it. Anyway. But basically, when these voice actors retired, and The Simpsons have said they will no longer have white actors white actors play non-white characters, as well as you saw Alison Brie saying she regrets playing her character on BoJack Horseman because she was Asian, things of that nature. I think basically what this comes down to is almost more about okay, it says, you notice, Zane Powers, I like this super chat. Zane Powers says, you notice how besides Central Park, all the shows that have this stuff suck. Current Simpsons, Family Guy, and Big Mouth. Yeah, Big Mouth is a creepy ass show. I don't think necessarily it's true. Nathaniel Foga does not like that this happened. But I understand the point of voice acting and that, it's supposed to be someone who can capture the voice and stuff like that. I think what Hollywood is reckoning with, and I should drink to that super chat. That was funny. And I definitely need something. Anyway, cheers to you. Thank you, Sam Powers. Basically, I think what this comes down to is, and I don't know if I've talked about this before on here, but a lot of black actors and actors of color don't get as many opportunities as white actors. And what you've seen when you see films like, let's say, Black Panther, Crazy Rich Asians, it has a crazy good cast, because if you're an Asian actor or you're a black actor and you hear those opportunities come up and you have any sort of a couple Oscar nominations, a bit of a following, you're going to fight to get in that role, basically. And so sometimes you'll see, like, I've seen African American films that mainly have a black cast who you look at those family dramas and all, Danny Glover, Neil Long, like all this crazy good cast, and it's just because there aren't as many opportunities there, so they sort of have to do these bad movies. But then when you have a major film, it has like the best cast imaginable. Like Black Panther had a great cast because there aren't as many opportunities there. And so I think because these studios are realizing, like, hey, we could have given opportunities to someone of color and we didn't because this person maybe was better for the voice or something like that. And I don't think that's going to age as well going on. Like, if you're actively... It's one thing if you're doing... it's one thing if you're doing it, I think, and you're aware of that, but the fact... Or if you're not, like, stealing roles from someone, but I think the fact that Hollywood doesn't have enough roles and things for people of color in all sorts of departments, even Anthony Mackie was talking about that with Marvel films, like, pretty much everyone who works on it is white. And then Hollywood's trying to do things, and the fact that they're just like taking roles that could be for people of color away from them just doesn't hold as much water, I think, as it used to. Should it have been going on? I mean, the Cleveland show thing is pretty bad. I just don't. I would, if I was him, I would feel uncomfortable when that show became a spinoff. I'd be like, this is not great. It's like, I get that he's a working voice actor and stuff like that, but it's like I don't know if like that should be. It just feels weird to me. I just don't. I don't know. That one was weirder. I don't know if, like, Alison Brie, I think she sort of fit the role, but I don't understand why, why wasn't she, a white woman instead of, if you're going to have Alison Brie do that voice. Like, I never really understood stuff like that. So, I don't know. It to me, it's just like, and apparently Toon-Jay said they already pretty much finished a lot of these for Family Guy. I just think the thing with the Apu thing and all that stuff is it's like, I get it, but I wish they handled these things better. It's interesting. Like, Kristen Bell was in that video where, like, I renounce racism and stuff like that, so I guess she sort of had to do something like this. But I think it's just like there aren't enough opportunities for actors of color, and I think this was just something that could easily be done. And does Jenny Slate need the extra work? No, Jenny Slate's on like 20 different animated things all the time. She's in Secret Lives of Pets 2. She's in Zootopia. She's in tons of stuff. So like, does Kristen Bell need that work? You know what I mean? The Cleveland show guy, I guess you could say something, that stinks. Or Alison Brie, who can't really do anything, BoJack's over. So I don't, I think a lot of these people where it's like, it was just another job in the insurmountable many jobs of their richness. In that way, it's like, yeah, why aren't you making more opportunities for people? You know what I mean? Like, especially ones that you don't necessarily have to do. That makes sense. I feel bad for the guy who did Cleveland because that is what, to my understanding, is what he's most famous for, unless there's something else. But no one, it's not cancel culture because they all voluntarily kind of came up with this. I don't know if it was like Jenny Slate and Kristen Bell were, I think it was Kristen Bell and Jenny Slate, then Cleveland, then Simpsons, and then Alison Brie today. So that seems to be what's going on. I don't know of any other actors doing that. But I just think, like, if you're taking opportunities from people, that's when you have insurmountable jobs and you can give those opportunities to a community that needs more opportunities, then maybe that's not such a bad thing. But that's how I'm feeling about it. And these shows, like Saber was saying, a lot of these shows should have ended, like The Simpsons and Family Guy. They've gone on way too long, and now, like, they could have done what Alison Brie did, and, like, Hank Azaria could have just been like, you know what, the Apu thing, it didn't age well, but The Simpsons was a great show, am I right? And they didn't do that. So the other thing is various shows have banned episodes, including Community pulled an episode because of the blackface thing. 30 Rock, I don't know why I said that as well. 30 Rock pulled some blackface episodes. Tina Fey's never been great about dealing with race. We've had a lot of actors pulling stuff because of blackface as well. The Community one, to me, didn't seem like... I thought that was like a weird joke. I didn't think it was like actual blackface. I thought it was just Chang being bizarre and stuff like that. But if it made people uncomfortable, I do think it's weird that so many comedians thought blackface was sort of like okay. Like it's not okay. You should never do blackface. I don't understand. The Community episode I actually watched semi recently. I guess you can't watch anymore. But they've also pulled these ones from TV syndication, as well as an Office episode. I think they cut a scene that is sort of it's not in blackface or something. I forget the whole deal with that. But those have been cut. What the fuck? I didn't know that. Ryan Walterson just said Hulu pulled a blackface episode of The Golden Girls? What? Is that a real thing? I don't... Really? There's a blackface episode of Golden Girls? Why did you just tell me that? Golden Girls is perfect. I don't... Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, let's. Yeah, it was the Dark Elf actually. Yeah. So, but they're pulling that. It doesn't. The Community one doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand. I don't know. I don't. The ones from like 30 Rock and What Happened to Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon the past week. Those make more sense to me, and they shouldn't have been doing them. You know what? I actually learned this, and I wanted to bring Ryan Walters. If Ryan Walters says it's true, I believe it. By the way, oh, that's true. They haven't heard anything about that Kramer episode, but I wanted to bring up this that I think. So I read this recently that SNL never really deals with sort of its weird racist stuff. And I don't know if you knew this, but like Fred Armisen played Obama, and they just like darkened his skin up and stuff at the beginning of Obama's presidency, which is strange. But Jordan Peele was almost Obama on SNL, but his mad contract wouldn't let him out of it. And it's weird that they didn't find another black guy, because it's like Jordan Peele does a great Obama, but like why didn't you just go to someone else or try to buy him out of his mad contract? And they didn't, and they just let Fred Armisen, and that's like. So weird, and they've never gotten in trouble. Even at the time, I was like, this makes me uncomfortable. Like, why you couldn't find another black guy who could do Obama? And then they later got that guy who did impressions and stuff, but it's just like, anyway, yeah. I think SNL probably has more issues than they ever want to deal with, because they have all, like, there was another one, there's this channel Comedy Hype, and they did another one on this, I think it was Elaine Cleghorn. Am I getting her first name wrong? And she was the first black woman to be on SNL and be in the regular cast. So she was the first black woman to get royalties and residuals from SNL. And that was the 90s. That show started in the 70s. And anyone else they had, they didn't let do that. So anyway, I think SNL, if anyone, the Dark Elf thing is just like, that's stupid, frankly. But SNL, let's really look at that shit, because that's what we should be focusing on. Because that's like, you had Fred Armisen play Obama. Like, what? I mean, I guess we were post-racial then, so you got away with that, but holy shit, I don't know. Oh, they pulled in Always Sunny? Oh, yeah, it's true. Tunjay brings up another thing. They made Kenan Thompson play black women roles instead of hiring... I know, and I think he said something. Buster is here. Buster, you want to be on the show? No, he just hid in the closet again. All right. So, I think that's everything. Well, that's all the race stuff. I guess I've solved racism. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop. So, Kenya Barris and Pharrell are going to be making a Juneteenth musical for Netflix. We don't know anything about this other than Pharrell's involved with Kenya Barris. I didn't talk about this last week for whatever reason. I don't know why. But it sounds like a cool idea. I know that one of the things about Juneteenth is that it was mainly told to people through an Atlanta episode and the popularity of Childish Gambino and through media, and they want to continue to do that, especially with Pharrell had a big part in making Juneteenth a more bigger holiday in Virginia, so he's very for this. No one knows if this is going to come out by next Juneteenth or what's going on, but it seems like something that's at least in development. We know literally nothing about this other than it's going to be a Juneteenth musical. It sounds pretty cool. I like Pharrell. I would like surreal, weird hip hop beat Pharrell, and less of the and less of the guy who did the Hidden Figures score, because I like Hidden Figures, but the score is like I would like let's get back to like the guy who did the Clips albums and stuff. Like that's what I'd really like. But I'm sure it'll be good either way. And cheers to you, Zane Powers. I feel like SNL is treated like the royalty of TV. You're right, and no one gets upset about it. But I think there's something there. Yeah. Did the SNL thing seems like it made people are thinking about this now? Okay, cool. No, look into all the things with race and SNL. It will make you mad. You'll be like, why is SNL like? That's the whole thing about the blackface thing. Why aren't we talking about SNL with that? Anyway. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. Yeah, I need to take a cold shower before I do these shows. It is. It'll just be me being angry. I am going to talk about Cyberpunk. Don't worry. So Netflix is thinking about getting the Aaron Sorkin Trial of the Chicago 7. This was permanently at Paramount, but since everyone's bleeding money, and this was going to consider to be a big Oscar contender, there's some thought of that Aaron Sorkin can't make a box office hit and things like that. There's also talk that it might not be as good as everyone thought it would. I'm not saying that's the case with Molly's Game, but or I never liked, what was it, The Newsroom. I was never into as most people. So who knows what's really going on? I think there's sort of the weird thing where people are using old ideas pre-COVID. I think it might also be they're like, look, we're not going to be able to put this out for Oscar time, even though we have the other 2 months. It's not going to make us any money. Let's just sell it to Netflix, and Netflix can get the Oscars or something like that. And this also might be that Netflix is trying to get all the Oscars and things like that. Oh, man, I had a Chris Nolan thing I was going to talk about. Okay, I forgot about this. And it was a theory Jim had before I go to a theory someone else had. I'll bring this up. So my thing about Chris Nolan and Tenet, and one of my kind of theories is it's a lot of people are talking about his reputation and his legacy and things of that nature. And I think he basically, I think what comes up with that is his legacy might be tarnished by this whole Tenet thing, but I think one of the things he probably wants to keep it in this year is if the Oscars do happen and the studios are really thinking about it, if he brings back studios and has a name for himself and people do really respect him after all this, wouldn't he win Best Director? And that's the thing he's wanted for all this time. And I honestly think, and I'm serious about this, that I really do think he honestly believes part of this I think is hugely egotistical. I think the studio's bending over backwards for him because they don't want him to go somewhere else. But also, if he wins this, and this Tenet is pretty good, I think he could win Best Director, or at least be nominated. And I think that's what he's trying to do. Because there's not a strong Oscar person right now. I think Mank with David Fincher is probably the biggest one that he has to worry about. But if we're looking at it right now, and he thinks the Oscars can still happen, which is so speculative, I think Nolan's being an idiot. But, they could just give it to him out of respect. I could totally see that happening, and I think he's not an idiot, but I think, yeah, I think it could. I think it's not unbelievable. But I think it's stupid because he should just bump this thing and get over his damn self, like Jesus. All right, so there's going to be a Lord and Miller Apple Plus series. It's called After Party. It's about an after party after a high school reunion. Someone dies, and then every episode after that is from a different person's perspective made in the genre that best reflects them, which actually sounds really cool. I'm actually really excited for that. I heard a interesting theory on Jeff Snyder's podcast, The Snyder Cut, where he brings up how Drew Goddard was brought on to help with Lord Miller's new film, and it seems like an odd choice, particularly because Drew Goddard has deals with Universal and so forth. Adding to that, Drew Goddard has deals with MGM, and that him working with Lord Miller, he's thinking that something's going on with Wolfman, that Drew Goddard might be involved in Wolfman, and that Jason Blum might be involved, who keeps saying he knows no involvement in Wolfman, despite the fact that his wife actually wrote it. So Jason Blum probably is lying, that he probably knows something about it. And his also theory is that Drew Goddard was loaned to, he's obviously getting paid, but they made a deal for him to work on Wolfman, and that's why he's also working with to do the Lord Miller swap, because Lord Miller also have an exclusive deal with Universal, and they needed to they had to clear them working on MGM. I hope that made sense, but I think yeah. Anyway, it's not a Clone High revival. Mamma Mia, apparently there's going to be a Mamma Mia 3 because the producer says it's meant to be a trilogy. I saw Mamma Mia 2. I don't know how you'd make a Mamma Mia 3 out of this, but good for you for trying. I love that. There was a Kinsman trailer. It looked actually like an even better trailer. It's supposed to come out on September 18th. Good luck with that one, guys. But it still looks like a fun, cool movie. I'm sort of excited for it. I'm curious if it will actually work. There was a Max Reload trailer. This is basically about like this kind of game thing. This video game kind of adaptation movie. Oh, I need to... How much more things do we have? Oh, too many. Okay. I have to skip over some things here. Okay. Yeah, I think I know which ones to cut. But this... sorry. Yes, it's a video game thing. You have people like Greg Grunberg and Kevin Smith involved in it. It's basically about this gamer who's going to save the world through this vintage game, and if it goes mobile, it'll take over the world and stuff. It looks like a fun VOD movie and all that. J.K. Simmons has said he's already shot his Spider-Man cameo for Spider-Man 3, I guess, as he plays in Alex Jones' J.K. Simmons, which sort of makes sense. They shoot those far in advance anyway. We'll see if that's actually what they use since they haven't shot that. But it sounds like he's going to be J. Jonah Jameson in a bunch of Marvel movies. He's signed a contract. I guess he's not Commissioner Gordon anymore, obviously. Elizabeth Banks is going to be Miss Frizzle in a live-action Magic School Bus movie at Universal. Universal is trying to build up their kind of kids entertainment IP. There's no director attached, but this is a studio. A studio is attached, as well as Scholastic and Elizabeth Banks, who's a pretty powerful producer, and she's playing Miss Frizzle. I think this could happen, but let's see until a director is announced. But it's still kind of cool news. It's just no one's writing it or directing it. But it does sound like something that has some weight to it. It was also announced that there's going to be a Pirates spin-off with Margot Robbie and her collaborator from Birds of Prey, who wrote and directed Birds of Prey, whose name I didn't write down because I'm stupid. She is going to... no one's sure what it is, or if it's Red, who's been more used in the Pirates of the Caribbean rides and so forth, who used to be a wench, or if it's just a spin-off and Margot Robbie is a pirate. Sounds cool to me. They're still developing the reboot of Pirates of the Caribbean, despite that this... is like a separate thing. So developing two Pirates things at once. To me, that pretty much means they're going to see which one, has the better script and probably just go with one and not the other. And Margot Robbie sounds a little more fully formed. It seems like she's working well with that director. So, I don't know. Sounds cool. So Fortnite is going to be doing a Christopher Nolan movie night. It's like between Inception, Dark Knight, and Interstellar, a couple of those. So if you want to watch this continued Chris Nolan Fortnite thing, if you want to watch a Chris Nolan movie in Fortnite while people are doing like string dance and stuff, I guess you can. I'm sure Christopher Nolan would love that. Other news. Okay, we're sort of towards the end, and then I'll take a break real quick. The Over the Moon trailer, this is the Gil Keane movie for Netflix, came out. It looks really cool. I was a little surprised the Gil Keane thing wasn't traditionally animated. I guess I didn't look up what kind of animation it was going to be, but it actually looks really cool. I'm excited for it. I know this is one of their bigger pushes for animation for Netflix, especially because Gil Keane's involved. It looks really cool. I'm excited to watch it, about this little girl who's trying to get to the moon to see her mom, and the imagination is there. I thought the trailer revealed like too much. I thought that would have been a cool surprise, but it's a modern trailer, and I guess you have to do that. Whatever, but it still looks cool. My advice would be, if you have like 20 seconds left in that trailer and you thought, I'm good, then take that advice and don't watch the rest. But I still think Netflix is still going to have a good year with animation. I think having a Gil Keane movie, I'm excited for this. I think it'll be really cool. Oh. Speaking of Kingsman, any thoughts on Mark Millar? Thank you, Sinram. I guess in general, did he do something this week? I think... Cheers to you. Also, thanks for being here. I read some of his stuff and I liked it, but I've heard he has like weird views on stuff and he does creepy things, and I don't know the full extent of it, but I don't get the greatest vibe from him. And isn't Millar or is it Miller? That's weird. I don't... I don't know. He's a bit of a creep for my entertainment. I've heard the story. I just don't, I think he seemed really cool in the beginning, and then you hear what he says about things, and you're like, ooh. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling on that. His work in general. I liked his. Did Bendis do the Ultimates? See, I forget what he did. So you're throwing this at me, and now I'm like, did he do the Ultimates, or did he do the Avengers? I remember liking him, but it's been a little bit. I remember it's kind of like I liked some of his stuff. I never got as into him, and then, yeah, I know. I guess I'm sorry, Sidram. I don't have a great thesis on Mark Millar. If he did do the Ultimates, I liked the Ultimates. Was that Bendis? I forget at this point. Anyway, I like the Ultimates, whether he did it or not. There is a moving on, but thank you for the super chat, man. That's very nice of you, Sidram. And check out The Batman Begins and Batman Begins and the Netflix thing, since he picked out for the movie review vote. George Miller has a lost film from 1973 called The Amusement Park. They're looking to get a distribution. This is interesting because I think it's around when he made Martin, but I've never heard of The Amusement Park or obviously seen it. But a new George Miller film from the 70s sounds like something I would see, and it's like a part of film history in my mind. So I definitely want to see a new George Miller film from the 70s. Sounds like a better idea than a late George Miller film about an idea of aging and this haunted amusement park. Sounds really cool. I hope it gets released, and they're trying to sell it on the virtual marketplace. It sounds like a great idea for Shudder, BT Dubs, because I would sign up for Shudder in a second if they had a new George Miller movie. There's going to be a Twister reboot. This is going to be from Joseph Kosinski, who is doing Top Gun, as well, who's doing the new Top Gun, as well as did Tron Legacy and Oblivion. I think this is kind of weird, because couldn't you just make another movie with a tornado? Is that IP really worth that much? But people were talking about it, so that's cool. I just think that's weird. But I think, he's good with special effects. That could work. That was one of the big things about Twister when it came out, is seeing the cow go by and all the special effects they use and all that stuff. So you sort of getting a director who's good with special effects. I think he could make a cool disaster movie. He has a bit more of an auteur eye than most people do with disaster films, so it could be cool. To my understanding, they're working on getting a Helen Hunt cameo, so sure. And Bill Paxton apparently can't be in it, obviously, but apparently when he died, Storm Chasers spelled out his name in GPS as a tribute to him. So I think they should do something. Apparently, people are saying they should put that story into the new Twister, and I agree. Yes, Chicken Run 2. I don't know why I didn't talk about Chicken Run 2. That's weird. So Chicken Run 2. You know what? I'll go into it now. I don't know why it wasn't on here. Damn, I feel stupid. Thank you, Austin. Chicken Run 2 is going to go to Netflix. It is finally definitely happening with Aardman. This definitely feels like Aardman is going to be doing more deals with Netflix, actually. It sounds like Aardman's Home is going to be on Netflix, which I think is really great. And I still hear a lot of families watch Aardman stuff. It's very much a pro-family thing, and I think it'll be very good to be on Netflix. It sounds like they're going to recast the Mel Gibson role. I haven't heard anything about all the other castings, particularly, what was it, the girl from Absolutely Fabulous, who's in the original. But I think it would be cool. I've heard some people shit on the original Chicken Run with this announcement, saying, was it that beloved? But it was pretty beloved, and actually had something to do with the Best Animated Feature Oscar happening. But I think Chicken Run would actually be... I think it would be cool, and especially they had all that success with Farmageddon. And I think that would be an essential part of Netflix's Oscar animation dominance, is having something like Aardman. I think that would be really good, since Aardman is pretty beloved in terms of the award circuit, things like that. So I don't know much about this cyberpunk, this cyberpunk video game, but I know there's going to be a show from Trigger on Netflix, and that sounds pretty fucking cool to me, because I saw Premiere recently. So it's from what I get about the cyberpunk stuff, it seems pretty cool in my mind. By the way, I do think Chicken Run's a classic, so don't worry about that. But in my mind, yeah. Where are we going with this? Yeah, Chicken Run's a classic. Cyberpunk looks really cool, but a new show from Trigger Studios sounds neat to me. And from what the little images I've seen of the cyberpunk stuff, I thought that would be, I think it'll be cool. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. So Infinity Train, we saw some tweets from Owen Dennis saying that we should really be watching Infinity Train in the next month to really help show that there should be another book, basically, to support it. If you haven't seen Infinity Train and you have HBO Max, please do so in the next month. They're both really great. I reviewed both of them, and I would love to review a third book. I don't know how much I am going to help in general because I've watched it already and stuff, but if you've never seen Infinity Train, please get on that because it's a great... I know there's a lot of content, but a lot of people are stuck at home, and if you're looking for something to do, it's basically like 2 movies. It's a little longer than 2 movies, and they're great little sci-fi cult things, and I really hope you see it. Apparently, Mordo, who Chiwetel Ejiofor will be back in Doctor Strange 2. That seemed pretty obvious, but they were kind of not talking about that for a while, so this is sort of news in a way, because if you watch the end of Doctor Strange, you're like, of course Mordo's coming back, but now they've made it abundantly clear that he is. I don't know how he'll fit into the multiverse of madness, but I guess we will see. Especially because I don't think they have shot yet. Oh, deadline passed for Infinity Train? That doesn't make sense. Because May 20... No, I don't think that makes sense. I saw the Soul teaser. It looked cool. I don't think there's much to add on that one. But, you know, anyway. So what do we have? Only a couple more things. Hold on. Jesus. Okay. There is a new trailer for the Unsolved Mystery show that comes out on Netflix on Wednesday. I'm excited for this. This is the one where it's just one mystery per episode, not the segments, which I preferred in the original Unsolved Mysteries. I'm excited for this, obviously, because I like Unsolved Mysteries. I might do a review of it even. It's kind of a typical trailer. They play the Infinity Train theme really slow, like they do with trailers and shit like that. It's like, cool, whatever. That's sort of, it's your typical kind of Unsolved Mysteries type thing. But I'm excited for the new Unsolved Mysteries regardless. It was a neat little trailer. It kind of got me hyped. They're going to do international ones, and the original was very American, so I think that'll be cool. I'm not sure who's hosting it or who's going to be the voiceover person, but whoever it is, I hope they do a good job, and, you know, we'll see. But I think I'll probably do a review of it because I'll probably have opinions on that. Quibi is going to do a Princess Bride kind of homemade fan series with celebrities. Good for you, Quibi. I don't think this will be really great, but it's something that Quibi can do, and it's something they can put in production that won't cost a lot, which is probably beneficial for them right now. Alright, so Barry Jenkins is going to be writing a film called Gunga, I think. Virunga. He's writing it, and Leonardo DiCaprio will produce it. He could potentially star in it, and Barry Jenkins would direct. Hopefully. That's what people are hoping, that Leonardo DiCaprio would star in it, and Barry Jenkins would direct. But right now, the only thing that's been announced is he's writing it, DiCaprio is producing it. We'll see what goes from there. But I think that would be cool. It also came out, 2 more things before we go into obituaries, actually. Radio Silence is apparently going to be directing Scream 5, and Paramount will put it out because obviously with Dimension falling apart, it's not going to be there. And I saw the Greenland trailer. Apparently at one point, damn it, guy who did Chappie, was going to direct it. I think that's what Will told me, and that's what I read as well. It was going to do, it's basically like asteroid pieces are coming to Earth and destroying everything, and Gerard Butler and his family have to get out. It actually looked pretty high budget and kind of like a cool concept. I would watch it while I was doing something else on Netflix, and that's kind of, it could be cool, but we'll see about that. So, other than Joel Schumacher, we lost other pretty big people this week. Those being Kelly Asbury, who is the director of Shrek 2 and Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Neil Blomkamp, sorry, Will. He died this past week, unfortunately. I don't know either of his films very well, to be honest with you, but I think that was a huge loss. He directed 2 major DreamWorks films and worked for Disney and did a lot of great animation work. The other one, and whose film we just reviewed on here, which was Mickey Mouse of Vietnam, was Milton Glaser, who was kind of like running the School of Visual Arts where I used to work, as well as he did the I Heart New York logo. He did the famous Bob Dylan poster, things of that nature. He was a major graphic designer. He did the Brooklyn Brewery logo as well. So I would say he is a that was a huge loss and was surprising. He was about 93, died of a stroke yesterday. So RIP to him as well. All right. So I'm going to hit the bathroom really quick, and then I'm going to come back and do reviews. Oh, we have 3 segments today, which I should have brought up at the beginning of the show, but I didn't because I'm stupid. Adventure Time, Distant Lands, BMO, 2 in the AM, PM, and a Rob Liefeld Jeans ad that Spike Lee directed, and then questions. So I will be right back. Oh, but before I do, I'm going to play a quick 30-second video I shot. I wanted to have music on it. I'm going to put it on Instagram later, but hopefully this plays right, and we'll play it right now. Are we doing it? Okay, let's see. Browse. You gonna let me do it? Okay, this is a quick time-lapse thing I made this week with Sophie. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna play it. You get an exclusive preview, I guess, and you'll see it on Instagram with music later. Oh, hold on. Oh, I didn't do it right. Okay, here we go. Oh, I did it wrong. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try it again. Man, fucking, you saw it for a second. It's kind of a cool thing. I want to play more videos on here. Here we go. See, she's running around. Sometimes we do races. Just, yeah, there we go. That was it. It'll be on Instagram later. All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, then I'll be back. I heard about the producer of Zoolander. I don't know much about him, unfortunately, so I can't do everything. So I will be right back, and yes. And then we'll do, yeah, the things. So far, I watched. Oh, cool! Twilight's on the movie. Some of that is cool. Yeah. He's coming back. All right. The Twilight Zone movie's okay. I sort of like it. I like parts of it. I did a review of it for the the rough cuts. The rough cuts was a different thing. What was it? It was, my hair is being not cooperative today. That's like in my face. Okay. I just combed my hair and then it... Anyway. Oh, Jesus. I need to cut my hair. Yes, I'm back. Sorry about all that. Hello. Cool. Alright, so, now it's like, yeah, I need to get my hair cut. Alright, sorry if that was weird. Anyway, now I'm just watching me adjust my hair. There we go, that's better. Okay, hello. Hi, okay, alright. Yeah, I need to get my hair cut. Alright, sorry if 65 people are watching. I hope this wasn't weird. I love you all. What's going on there? Oh. Alright, YouTube's weird. Hope you're all doing well. Let's combing tutorials with Jim. True. Alright, so first let me take a swig of Red Bull just to get my energy up. No, I don't want you to... That's not what I meant by that. Thank you, CyberPunk. So, you guys are great. Alright. So, just... hairs. Okay. You go here. You... thing. What? Okay. Anyway. So, Adventure Time... Adventure Time Distant Lands came out with its first special focusing on BMO on HBO Max on Thursday, which seemed like a weird day to me, but it came out on Thursday. I at first wasn't sure how well this would work. I was curious, and I actually really liked this idea. It's sort of like BMO in space has a space adventure. I, to be honest, would watch a series called BMO Goes on Adventures in Space. I would be totally cool with that. And I thought this was actually really cool when BMO goes to like this weird alien world and does a lot of stuff. I don't want to reveal too much, so I won't really do that. I don't want to spoil anything, but it had a real kind of art, kind of heavy metal art style. Kind of reminded me of Morbius and things of that nature. Kind of that odd sci-fi 70s deal, basically. I thought it was actually really good about that, and I think Adventure Time works best when you have this whole like open world of weirdness, the idea of animation, anything is possible, and I think Adventure Time does that. I love how people in Adventure Time talk as well, and that kind of like weird like I think they said that's just dumb or something like that. I also noticed someone in the background did the Clone High like thing where it's like with the cup. I noticed someone did that. I don't know if it's a reference or just inadvertent, but probably is. But yeah, I noticed that. I thought it, and I thought the animation was really great. HBO Max really spent quite a lot on that. It didn't feel like just a normal Adventure Time thing. It felt like kind of more of an awesome special. And I liked all the voices in it. Stephen Root, who the character he's doing, I know appears later, but he does such a great sort of like Jeff Bridges voice in it. I sort of almost believe it's Jeff Bridges, even though I know it's Stephen Root. And Randall Park, who's in this as the character of Hugo, I thought also does a really good job. I like Randall Park in general as an actor. I thought he was very good. And Pendleton Warren apparently has a small voice role doing something. I did generally really like this. I didn't think it was too long. I didn't think it was... the length didn't really bother me. I had a good time watching. It was like BMO goes on this cool adventure with was it Y5 basically this character, and kind of like saves the day and does all that stuff. I think this would be a cool series. It didn't really bother me, even though it didn't really occur to me until I actually watched Paleo's review, which was a good review, by the way. You should check it out. And he gets more into the spoiler things. I don't want to say that because we're on a stream and you'd have to mute it, and that just sounds annoying, so I won't get into that. But I generally think this has a lot of potential because I think there's a lot to go into with Adventure Time lore and the Adventure Time story, and I think the creative team is so there to do and expand and go off-world and like all the different worlds that are there and all the different things in there. I think this is like very works really well with Adventure Time because there's such a large, expansive world there. You could do different kind of like episodes of the week and everything like that. And I think, to be honest with you, Adventure Time, it's perfect. It's perfect for an anthology show like this. I'm curious if they're able to tell everyone else's story in these 45-minute lengths as well as they did with BMO. But if anyone, to be honest, like after watching this, I was almost convinced that BMO should have his own. Or BMO, is it him or they, or I don't know BMO's. Anyway, but whatever. BMO should have a spin-off, and I think that would actually be really cool. Just BMO goes on adventures. I was totally down for that. Also, I know the guy who did the animation director supervising Kinsman Albert. I met a long time ago. We're Facebook friends, so cool. I guess we're buddies. So that was cool. I was like, oh, neat. But if you're into Adventure Time, I think it's probably more for fans. I don't know if anyone who isn't a fan would watch this. I watched it by myself. I didn't watch it with anyone else. But I think in terms of like, if you are a fan, it's really great. And I would actually tell non-fans to watch it. I don't know what that would be like. But I think BMO is a strong character. And Adventure Time was always good at doing these kind of like side character storylines and things like that. So I think it's like a kind of a natural progression for the show to do. I know one is actually going to be with Finn and Jake, and I don't know, maybe Paleo could answer this in the chat. I don't know how often these specials are coming out, but it's kind of like a nice little treat. Like, oh cool, a little mini special of Adventure Time. And I thought really Adventure Time Distant Lands like gave me that really great, really wonderful, or really wonderfully gave me that. And just sort of remind me of the potential of that show, and everything it could do really well is just like have all these strange, weird, different kind of creatures and like have fun with that. And I thought that's what this did. BMO went to a whole different world, and they had all these like cool backgrounds, they had all these cool like little references, they had all this crazy stuff going on that you can just fall into this whole world that they've built. It's like it was that show's so good at world building. That show's so good at world building and going into this like deep, rich world. It like really showcased what was so wonderful about Adventure Time, and also some of their side episodes. And it was kind of surprising because as it was going on, I did think for a little bit that could this in the storyline, I was like, oh, how long can this still be interesting? But I found it to be interesting all throughout. So it's like just a great Adventure Time adventure basically with BMO. And if you're down for that, I think Adventure Time Distant Lands so far with this first episode is actually really great and wonderful. Alright, so there's supposed to be one more this year? Oh man, that sucks. So we're only getting like another one, the one with, so I guess the next one is Bubblegum and Marceline, but we don't know when that's coming out. And then two, so it's only like, this is just going to be an ongoing like Adventure Time special, I guess. So that's kind of cool. I'm down for that. Alright, so moving on. Before the next review thing, I'm going to get something that'll cool me down. Alright. Man. Sorry. I am vain today, I guess. So the next thing I would like to talk about in the stream is 2 in the AM PM, since Close Enough is coming out next 2 weeks from now. By the time we do the next movie crap, Close Enough will be out. So, cool. But anyway, 2 in the AM PM is an early short from J.G. Quintel. It is probably the short of his that we hear most talked about, particularly because of how it set up the development of regular show. Now, in terms of his life, kind of the bigger one that really set him off professionally would actually be the naive man from Lollyland, not this one. This one, although it did play at Spike and Mike, what was it? The annual Spike and Mike Sick and Twisted Festival Animation. The other one actually got him, like, Fred Seidberg became interested in him and helped him get an internship and a job, helped him meet Pendleton Ward, all these huge things. But 2 in the AM PM was still successfully sold it to Spike and Mike's Spike, let's say it again, Spike and Mike's Six Untwisted Festival of Animation. It got put online. It was doing actually pretty well. So in terms of like post-college, like having a short blow up like this is actually really good, to be honest with you. And the fact that he had 2 shorts, it's interesting that I think The Naive Man from Lollyland is less acclaimed and talked about than Two in the AM PM. But basically what this short is 2 guys who work at a convenience store are there on Halloween. One is voiced by J.G. Quintel. The other is voiced by Sam Marin, who would later voice Benson on regular show. And they take candy, and then he admits that the candy is laced with acid, and they start tripping out and actually having the same trip, which is not how drugs work if you didn't know, but maybe it's under the perspective of one of them or something. Doesn't matter, who cares? But they're there, and they kind of trip out. They turn into dolphins, so this is a heavy paleo show, I guess. They turn into dolphins at one point, and then they also turn into, the guy who voices Benson basically turns into a gumball machine like Benson, and J.G. Quintel, who also voices Mordecai, because turns into Mordecai. And then all sorts of crazier kind of hijinks ensue, and including like a car trying to give gas to a human in his butt, and all sorts of stuff like that. It's actually pretty crazy, kind of trippy short. And it's obviously way more adult than regular show was. I've heard people say like, oh, he should have kept it this vibe, but I don't think that was ever going to happen. However, he did mention in interviews that when he was developing something, and when he was developing a regular show with Cartoon Network, and they did say they wanted to age up the audience, he did actually play Two in the AM PM for them when he was developing regular show. So Cartoon Network was, corporately at least, aware of this short. Not that you wouldn't be, since it sold to a major festival and was making the rounds, and you would have known it was with J.J. Quintel. But in terms of developing Cartoon Network, and also Pops, by the way, who is also in The Naive Man from Lollyland, makes an appearance in this. Wow, spoilers. Sorry. But I've always liked Two in the AM PM because it's sort of the closest early ideas of regular show we could get. It shows more of an adult Swim kind of version of J.G. Quintel than we've gotten to see with like regular show necessarily, although it got closer. And it kind of gives you the germ of an idea of how he artistically could have presented something like regular show. You also get that from The Naive Man from Lollyland, but that's just specifically with Pops. This is giving you kind of the relatable, like guys messing around on their jobs, doing something crazy that they shouldn't have. And he was even saying when he was growing up, that's what was going on when he was growing up, is like you'd work these kind of dead end jobs with your friends. You do crazy things you do crazy things while you're trying to kill time while you're doing these crappy jobs. And I think that's something that you definitely see more so and expanded upon, obviously, throughout regular show. Two in the AM PM is just kind of like you're working in a crappy, convenience store with a gas station pump, and like how are you going to kill time? And obviously, you probably like get snowed in the back or something. I don't know if you take acid. That seems a little much, but it's a cool little short because much like a movie like Clerks or something, it's very relatable. You can be like, oh, I work behind a cash register, and I've wanted to do that sort. I've worked behind a cash register, and I've seen that kind of life before, and I remember hanging out with my friends and seeing stupid shit. And it's like seriously just like how regular show is. It might go to a really extreme. I don't think you should really do acid while you're working, but it just reminds you of that potential, that the kind of basically the idea of regular show, of Mordecai and Rigby kind of hanging out and getting in all sorts of crazy situations, getting in all sorts of crazy fantastical situations. This is a little more, it's explained away because they're on drugs. It's not because they unlocked something or accidentally like started zombies or anything like I just love the movie Night one's one of my favorites, or started like a video game monster, or ended up in space. It's nothing like that, but it kind of shows you like the kind of structure of a basically J.G. Quintel story. It's like very relatable, 2 guys doing a normal thing, and then it just gets crazier and odder as it goes on. And as I've said in my regularity of regular show video essay, which I refer to way too many times, is that he basically starts with a simple premise like a Felix the Cat cartoon. Felix is going to the bar and has to find his way home drunk, and then he ends up in like Egypt or something. It doesn't make sense, but you're into it, and that basically shows you the germ of an idea of J.G. Quintel would do. He'd make it far more relatable, although this shows his more how his more surreal tendencies and how he can keep his surreal tendencies sort of relatable while also being really fucking weird and having, you know, a car want to give a human gas in their butt or something. So 2 in the AM PM is an essential thing to watch. If you're a fan of regular show, if you're gearing up to watch Close Enough, it's a cool thing that probably is underappreciated. And if you've never seen it, it kind of lets you get a small peek of where regular show and the ideas of regular show really began. I felt good about that. Was that cool? Oh, Bloxy Axelwinkle. Oh. Okay. I hope you get home. I hope you get back before the end. There's not too much left. Alright, so one more segment and then we'll do questions. Sorry, I hope these are interesting for people. Oh, and Pan is also streaming. I didn't know that. Hi, Pan. Hold on. Pan just couldn't wait, could he? Jeezies. Alright, but I hope you get home safe, Bloxy Axelwinkle. There we go. So, the Rob Liefeld Jeans ad. This, you're probably like, okay, enough with the Image comic stuff. There really isn't any other segments I could possibly do on this, but I thought I would bring this. There really aren't any more segments I could do on Image Comics, but the Rob Liefeld Buttonfly Jeans ad is sort of notorious if you're into early 90s comics, because comic creators didn't get to be on jeans ads, and that Rob Liefeld was in one was pretty insane, to be honest with you. And everyone in comics would talk about it for years and years, and that it was directed by Spike Lee. Now, I was able to find out a little bit about the making of this ad, and you should check it out. It's on YouTube. But it's basically a jeans ad, and Rob Liefeld talks about how his parents hated comics, what he got into comics, how he's a big comics creator. And he was on, like, Dennis Miller and talk shows at the time, promoting things on the Today Show and Good Morning America. So he wasn't, like, he was actually promoting himself. But Rob Liefeld is also kind of a bit much, let's say it that way, and actually entered the contest when they were looking for people to tell us about what you do in your jeans. And I don't necessarily think he thought he would get picked, but he did. And when they directed this, according to him on a Facebook post he wrote about making this, he says that he when he made it, they actually shot it not in California. It says it shot in it says in the ad it's shot in California. It's not. They recreated his studio in Spike Lee's studio in 40 Acres and a Mule in Brooklyn, which is close to here actually, and recreated it. And then apparently we're gonna have him pose in the jeans, like show his butt in the jeans, but they said he had no ass, so they had to, if you look at the ad, you can tell they like avoid his butt in general, which is weird for a jeans ad, because they can't show it. But yeah, they recreated it for his whole studio and shot it in Brooklyn, and actually flew him to New York to shoot this stupid jeans ad, which makes no sense to me, but I guess it's cheaper to ship him up here than ship everyone else down there. You hear Spike Lee asking him questions in the ad, and he draws an ad, kind of a drawing of Spike Man, of Spike Lee, like with spikes on him and a camera. You don't actually see Spike Lee, you see like his arms and like his t-shirt and things like that. But I think it's an interesting ad. It's sort of notorious. I wanted to post in the chat. Someone actually made a Rob Liefeld-esque comic of the ad that I'll post in here, and I'll post that in the description when this is a separate video. But which is actually kind of funny in the style of Rob Liefeld. It's more notorious, and I think a lot of people have written about it because you really didn't. Comics was such a small thing at the time, even though comics were going to be a bigger deal. Because they were selling so many things, you would think that Jim Lee and so forth, but no one was the biggest showboat for as Rob Liefeld, and he was actually drawing apparently X-Force number 4 when they were while they were filming this video. He brought up pages to make it look like he was working, but it's sort of just more notorious because of where it fits into comics history, that a comics creator was actually featured in a jeans ad, and he actually believed that he should be in it. But it was just kind of like more shown as a sign of Rob Liefeld's ego than it was of anything great. But, it was this thing that Spike Lee directed. He got a comic creator. He interviewed him sort of like Earl Morris off camera or something. And you get this like very bizarre moment in comics history where a jeans company actually thought they could sell jeans by showing the guy who drew X-Force. So I just thought I wanted to talk about it. And there we go. Are the feet good? What? Anyway, let's do questions. I'll do Will's Patreon question, then I will get to the other one. So leave your question now, and then I'll do like 10 minutes of questions, I think. So Will asks a question I should have answered earlier, and I apologize because it was more relevant then. Will says you'll probably cover this before getting to my question, but why are they holding up on SpongeBob? Are they expecting it to be a big hit or something? Feels like the audience that would be interested are fans of the series, nostalgia bucks, and kids not really sure what their mindset is pushing for CBS. By the way, that's not me saying I think the movie doesn't have potential animation for it looks tight, more talking from the marketing standpoint. I think you're underselling, Will, SpongeBob's appeal, which SpongeBob is really, really very big. It is still very big, and I think they're just mainly trying to sell CBS All Access, and they see sort of something to help launch the service, and because they're obviously going to sell more merchandise, but SpongeBob is still very big. I think it actually probably would have been a hit, to be honest with you. It was never marketed the best way, and they were originally going to have it open a week apart from Scoob. I think SpongeBob, I mean, no one's seen it, but if SpongeBob had the better reviews and better reception, it might have done better than Scoob, so it might have actually worked out better for them. But we'll see what happens with SpongeBob. But yeah, that's sort of to answer your question. I think there is potential for it, and I think it could work out. And I think I sort of answered it in your segment in the part earlier, but I'm sorry if I didn't answer this earlier. But anyway, cheers to you, Will, I guess. I'll act like it's a super chat. There we go. All right, let's start with the questions. Oh, I didn't know. Thank you, Pan, for retweeting my stream. All right, let's see. There was a question I was going to get to. Oh, Carter Wright, have you seen the horror movie Deep Red? No, I haven't. Okay, now moving down to the... Oh, he asked me twice. Did he? Yes. Okay, I answered that. Zane Powers, thoughts on Arthur Conan Doyle's estate suing Netflix for giving Sherlock Holmes too many feelings. Apparently the deal with that is most of the Sherlock Holmes stuff is public domain except for the last 10 books. I think that's sort of stupid. I'm sorry I didn't cover it. I just think it's a little lame. I mean, if they have a right and they're upset about the adaptation, I guess they should have some say in it. Maybe Netflix should have cleared that before they just made it, assuming... I didn't know that any of the Sherlock Holmes stuff was in public domain. I thought it all was, but their legal department should have cleared that up, frankly. If they feel that way and it's their intellectual property, they should be able to enact that, but I also would ask for them to see the movie before suing someone over it. So, Bruce Parker, could Disney ever redeem themselves for Pocahontas in a remake, or is it too foregone of an idea? I don't think they should do a live-action remake of that. I think that would be a really fucking bad idea. I sort of could see where you're coming from, and I'm sure they've talked about it, but you'd have to have an indigenous director have a really good take. Like, it would have to be totally different. Maybe, but I think there's too much. That's another one that I don't know about that. M Blood T, pizza or McMuffin? Oh, pizza. I mean, pizza's on a bagel. You can have it anytime. Best place for bagels in NYC is the Wind Rider. I like Lula Bagel around me, so I would say that. Not plausible. Should I yell something as I'm going over over the Bay Bridge? Sorry. Yeah, you should absolutely yell. People love to yell. I would say, woo, we're going over the Bay Bridge, woo. Do you think it's bad from Zane Powers? I'm not that active on Twitter. No. If you don't want to be, you shouldn't. If you like it, then you should. There we go. Dax Dernhardt, what modern video game would you want to play and beat? Cuphead. Yeah, I need to get on that. Untitled Project question, what if they suddenly stated to call him Sponge Robert? That's funny. I like that. Nathaniel Fogo, how do you... Oh, hold on. Oh, we have a Mandela butterfly. Okay, hold on. Let me do Nathaniel Fogo, and then I'll get to the... Where were you, Nathaniel Fogo? Where are you? Okay. Question: how do you usually celebrate July 4th? I celebrate my birthday. I usually go see fireworks, but I mainly just watch them at home because Sophie can't really stay up that late. So we'll probably do the same as we do if we weren't in quarantine. Have you? I'll do Bruce Parker's. Have you ever seen the Generation X TV movie? I actually saw it when it premiered, and I wanted to review it for a while. I might review it whenever Generation X comes out. I should probably do that one soon, Bruce Parker. All right, Mandela Butterfly. Here's a super chat. Favorite LGBTQ characters on TV or movies? Probably. Cheers to you. Man, I know Izzy's watching Pose and made me think about how much I like a lot of the characters on Pose. What's her name with like the poofy hair? I always liked her. Maybe like probably someone in a John Waters movie. Divine sort of doesn't count. Well, Divine was gay, but not. Yeah, so Divine and Pink Flamingos. There we go. That's definitely my favorite. That's not a question about that. Yeah. I know Divine. Why am I questioning? All right. Mio Lamb. What are good movies to watch to start getting into film history? I don't know about the big ones. I would. That's a good question, Mio Lamb. I would say first off, here's what I would do. Look at a director you would like. Find out a lot of these directors come up with the 10 movies they like the most or most influenced by. Look into those and see those. That's usually a good way to do it. I would also say a movie like Detour. That's a great film noir that I always recommend. That's in the public domain. I would even go for something like High Noon is a good one. Citizen Kane. I know it's basic, but that's a good one. Things like that. Like simple ones that you can just, very digestible. Wild Boys of the Road is a good one. Singing in the Rain. But I would look at what are the kind of movies you like and what classic movies do people compare them to. That's a good place. That's a good way to do it. Jordan Solaflo, what do you think Katie Holmes' career would look like if she didn't fart so much? I mean, maybe she would have been in The Dark Knight. I don't know. Embla T, question, have you seen Gangs of New York? You think that it's ahead of its time and a great representation of how messed up American history actually is? I don't know about that. Gangs of New York I liked when I first saw it and didn't really like it all the second time I saw it, but I should probably see it again. I don't think it's really Scorsese's best, but people have called me out on I need to rewatch it. So I don't know if I really recalled anything, but it was kind of the history of America before. Have you watched, this is from Jab, have you watched Sublo and Tangy Mustard on YouTube? It's a short animated series by Aaron Lang, a director from BoJack Horseman. I haven't, but that sounds cool. Maybe I'll check it out. Zane Powers, is there a villain you agreed with in a movie? Was it Killmonger and Black Panther, maybe? I agreed with him. Pan actually reached... Oh, he did. Retweets last week's stream? Okay. Well, it's cool that he did them, too. Question. Nathaniel Fogler, have you ever played any games that aren't Turtles in Time? Yes, I played Streets of Rage. Some would say a Turtles in Time ripoff. Not plausible. What's the funniest inside joke within your YouTube channel community? Like in terms of you guys, or I don't know. Sorry. That's true. And Terrence Malick did to any good music you've been listening to. I listened to Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. That was pretty funny. I mean, good. I don't know why I said funny. That's Jesus. Okay, question. What kind of bagel do you like and what on it? I like an everything bagel. Duh, this is the best bagel ever. A whole wheat everything bagel with jalapeno cream cheese, which I usually get. I ended up getting jalapeno tofu cream cheese and liked it, and then later I found out it was tofu, and that's sort of what I get a lot. Just inadvertently. I don't know. Thoughts on the Mulan and Tenet reschedules? I thought I answered this, Nina Garcia, but I think they should probably just keep moving back probably till next year. So, but watch early in the show and I go on about it more. Favorite racist ass Melly Gibson's role? Probably my favorite role of his is actually Mad Max. My favorite creepy role of his would be What Women Want. Yeah, can you imagine Mel Gibson can read women's thoughts? Not plausible. Why are you still up at this later? I don't know, but I should probably go to bed soon. Same Powers, what do people say? There are no bad ideas, just bad execution. Do you disagree with that? I would say there can be bad ideas and bad execution. It's just you have to pick the right combination to get it to work. Let's do cornbread and sweet potato fries, and then that's it. Have you heard of the fact that Thumb Wars is getting a sequel? P.S. Infinity Train's deadline was today. It was from May 20th. Oh, damn it. That doesn't make sense to me because he mentions HBO. Whatever. I hope it works out for Eternity Green. That sucks. Sweet Potatoes Fries. Are you planning on watching and reviewing The Wretched? I was actually thinking about it because it's been #1 at the box office for so long in this weird COVID time, and I kind of am curious about it, so I might check it out. I have thought about it. All right, that is it. If you have a question I did not get to you, put it down below in the comment of this video right now. I will answer it, or go to the Discord and the Ask Jim channel, and I will definitely answer it there. Thank you all very much for your support and coming out, and for all the super chats, and for being here. I hope you guys have a good July 4th. I'm sorry I can't spend it with you guys. I will miss you. Check out the premieres for every CBS Saturday morning show ever, so we can hang out again then. I'll try to be in the chat right before. I think that'll be next Friday. I will give you 24 hours notice. Check out my videos this week. I did a debrief for Spyscape on Robert Rodriguez on Spy Kids. That's actually really cool, as well as doing a Netflix picks, which was a segment from here that I can remember review from last week, the Batman Begins review, the December 2019 journal video, and finally made the segment of Bring Me the Head of Charlie Brown. So that was everything. That was it. I hope you all guys have a good night. I will see you in 2 weeks, and see you then, and I will see you next time. I guess that's it. Thank you all for being here. Good night. And that's, yeah. Let's have this do its thing. What are you doing? Oh, there we go. That's it. And I will see you guys next time. Yes. And subscribe if you would like to. Have a good night, everybody.